Is Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev next? I think so. Probably for the White House, unless Khamzat drops out and then Strickland has to fight someone else. But I do think that Strickland has earned his title shot again with the performance against Fluffy Hernandez. Getting to fight Strickland versus Hernandez, I think it was extremely underrated, at least coming into the fight of Strickland chances of winning that fight. As I've mentioned in the preview, I thought it was really underrated when it comes to the odds, and it was pretty good betting odds if you were thinking like myself that Strickland has way higher chance of winning than it was presented. Even though Fluffy was on a good win streak, I didn't think that he has an easy chance of winning. And the only criticism of Sean Strickland I had there that if he does won the title shot, he can't just go for a boring decision. He has to find his moment and give it all in the earlier rounds to try to get a finish. And even if it doesn't work out, that gives him an advantage in terms of getting a title shot just because he's actually trying to finish a fight rather than just waiting it out until the decision is made and then acting with 10 seconds left, acting like a hero. So I spent quite a bit of time on the previous video explaining all that. And going into the fight, first two rounds, Strickland was dominating. Nothing big happened, but it looked like they're not even in a different league. I thought Fluffy was fading and he just couldn't do anything to Strickland's style. So every jab that Strickland thrown, it just seems like it bothered Fluffy, and every looping shot that Strickland threw as well was also bothering him pretty badly. So I wasn't surprised that the stoppage happened in the third round, and it happened almost exactly as I expected. Even though if I was to bet myself, I would have gone for a Strickland by decision. But 2 rounds of beating him up, and the third round, he got caught with a knee. And from there, Strickland just put it on him until he got the finish. It looked like it took everything out of Hernandez. So we got ourselves a nice finish. And that's a really nice win for Strickland. This is exactly what I was saying. Him finding his moment, capturing, going all out, and going for that finish gets him a title fight easily against Chimaev, perhaps. Perhaps against Chimaev if he doesn't drop out of the title fight and if they do want to put him in the White House. I don't think Strickland necessarily cares, or he pretends not to, even though it could be one of the biggest fights of his career in front of the president and the rest of the people there. But who knows? But that would be my next fight for Strickland. He for sure earned it with the finish. And looking back, would Strickland do better than Dricus Du Plessis? I would say yes, because Dricus is offensive fighter and he doesn't really go for defensive takedowns. He's not hard to take. He's not easy to take down generally, but for someone like Chimaev, it was pretty straightforward to deal with him. On the other hand, all Strickland is fighting off is defensive wrestling. He was a Division I wrestler. He has a really good wrestling and he's very hard to take down. But the key is that he can actually go backwards and defend against a takedown, and he can get up. Now, it's been leaked that he tapped a few times in the training session, but Chimaev himself said that it's been way harder to take Strickland down and that he would get up. So perhaps there is a bigger challenge there for Chimaev. At the same time, if Strickland fights the way Gilbert Dorino Burns was fighting against Chimaev and just not letting him go easily for those takedowns, defending some and hitting him back. So not just being happy with oh, congrats, you didn't take me down. But if he just goes a bit more aggressive and tries to actually box with him, I think there's a good chance that Strickland can actually put up a better fight than Dricus Du Plessis. Can he win it? I don't think so. But he can definitely put a better fight, and he has better chances, I think, than Dricus did. So that's the fight I would go for. I think Strickland earned it. So I was pretty happy with his performance, and finally someone, not like someone listened to me, but someone actually did exactly what they needed to do to get that title shot, rather than winning a decision like Ian Gary and then screaming for a title shot because there's no one else that can beat him, which makes no sense. So props to Strickland. That's real. really good for him. As for Hernandez, he'll need to build up. I didn't think that his previous wins were that good to begin with, and that the odds were just strangely for him and against Sean. So he'll need to build up and look in the top 10 and top 15 again in a couple more fights until he gets a serious top 3, top 5 contender. Nothing against him. I just didn't see anything that would make him a big contender from the very beginning. And that's how it played out. Yeah, we didn't do a review for the Brandon Moreno versus Kavanaugh fight, but I did end up watching it because I was on vacation in Dubai. So I found the time to watch that, even though I thought the card wasn't that interesting. But it played out well. Bobby Green had a great fight and he won his fight. And then Brandon Moreno lost against Kavanaugh, which was quite controversial, in my opinion. As it goes almost every second review I do, I felt like Brandon Moreno was robbed because I gave the first round to Moreno. Second round, obviously, was Kavanaugh. Third round, I also gave to Kavanaugh. But fourth and fifth, I don't see how you give it to Kavanaugh, and even fifth. So most people might even agree on the first 2 rounds being a mix, but fifth round, I think all the judges gave it to Kavanaugh. To which, well, say what you want, but Brandon Moreno held Kavanaugh almost the whole fifth round against the cage, so he didn't really do much. And while Brandon Moreno also didn't do much, I don't think that just gives the other guy a round. It's on Kavanaugh to get out of it. And damage-wise, if you look at the whole fight, of course, Moreno got caught and she almost got finished, but it's a 5-round fight. He lost that 1 round clearly, and he lost 1 more. And you can debate the first one, but the fourth and fifth, I thought that was pretty straightforward, one-way street. And for Moreno, even though it was close rounds, it's just that if you have to choose, you can't just give it to Kavanaugh because he did more damage in the first few rounds. That just doesn't add up to me at all. So I was quite surprised. The verdict scores also were really close on this one, although most people still gave the 5th round to Kavanaugh, which I also don't really agree with. Is it a disastrous robbery that changes everything? I don't think so, because Moreno can just build it up and he looks like he could beat Kavanaugh if he wanted to. He basically got caught and still couldn't be finished. So I don't think that loss is that big of a deal for Brandon Moreno. He can get back at all of these guys pretty soon. It's not the biggest robbery or the biggest. There's been bigger robberies, I believe, recently, but I think Moreno did fine after getting caught, and I still think that he won 3 rounds in that fight and should have gotten a decision, but it is what it is. As for Kavanaugh, I wasn't really as impressed. I think the commentary was extremely impressed with everything that Kavanaugh did. Just him holding his hands up apparently was enough to impress everyone, because I guess he lost against Charles Johnson or whatever, but I didn't see any of it, and he was faster, but he wasn't that much faster. Moreno played with the hands down and got caught, and I think if Moreno doesn't get caught, he wins that fight, and there's nothing impressive about Kavanaugh. Now, maybe he will become a champion soon and learn from this, and because he's just beaten a former champion, so he may be way better than he's shown, but it wasn't really much of anything besides good calf kicks, which got to Moreno pretty quickly, and he looked pretty battered and couldn't move as well. But it wasn't. It was a strategic win for Kavanaugh, even if you give it to him, which I might argue less about it, even if I disagree with the decision. It didn't really show much of anything. Okay, he can kick the legs, which means next opponent will watch out for that. He didn't kick the legs in some weird way or something. I think Moreno has a stance that is very hittable. He has very wide stance, so it makes it way harder for him to both check those kicks, and the damage that he gets from these kicks, because he's so much on the front foot as well, is way bigger. So it was a good strategic fight against Moreno, but it wasn't anything huge that got to him that would earn him a title shot or anything else. So I think he should just fight someone that's a bit higher up, but no title shot in any way. As for now, even though he's young and he'll probably get there and he may be a champion one day, I didn't really see anything there that should make it worthwhile. Again, this doesn't take away that he did catch him and he did do more damage in the fight, and maybe objectively speaking, he should have won the fight. but not on the judgment criteria. Again, you can't give someone a fifth round just because he did more damage in the second, and it looked like Moreno was more beaten up while not really getting hit that well. And himself, he got caught with quite a few right hands where he shouldn't have. He was way further away than typically at those times, and he still managed to get caught. So that's what I think. It was an interesting fight. Moreno did worse than expected. Kavanaugh maybe also did worse than expected, but he got the win. So props to him for that. So that's it for this week's review. If you're interested, please comment and like. How do you think the next fight for Sean Strickland should be? Who should he fight next? Should he fight for the title or not? Did he do better or worse than you expected? And what about Brandon Moreno? Was that a robbery or not? So thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you.